and that goes back to tribalism in general. And I think this is something that's really hard for us to avoid is when you get invested in an opinion. It's kind of like when we teach students about scientific investigations, you develop your hypothesis. But if as you conduct the investigation and you get your data and the data shows that your hypothesis is incorrect, then you should be able to change. You aren't wrong,
Yeah.
even if your hypothesis is. But I think what happens is if you get emotionally invested in your opinion, or your opinion becomes your identity, then you are extremely reluctant to change that opinion, because that's saying that you are wrong. Have you seen that?
Oh, that's everywhere. Oh, I mean, you like pinpointed it, and I
Yeah.
think I think it's a major problem that's going on in almost all aspects, not just with wrestling. I mean, politics,
Mm-hmm.
religion. It seems like it anymore, like you liking Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker, or someone liking WWE and AEW. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, it's all wrestling. What does it matter?
Yeah.
It's like I remember I had a girlfriend one time. I grew up Catholic, and she was non-denominational, and she kept telling me I was wrong.
Yeah.
She was like fighting me on, my beliefs that I grew up on, and I was like, we worship the same God.
Yeah.
Like, we're just trying to be good people. Like,
It's the dogma that's different.
yeah, and to me that's semantics there. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And even I have so many friends and family members politically that I do not agree with, and I'm kind of like the oddball out,
Mm-hmm.
especially where I live. It's kind of hard in the way people act anymore. But my best friend, we disagree on everything politically, and he's been my friend for like 20 years, and
Yeah.
I love him to death, and I will never let that affect my relationship with him. And he feels the same way. We'll talk sometimes, but we won't argue about it because we know where each other stands, and we respect each other.
There you go.
I think that's a key. No one. I'll debate anybody. I don't want to fight, but I'm always interested to see why people, why your opinion on, why do you like this so much, or why do you follow this? Am I wrong? Or am I missing something here? I'm always willing to learn and try to see other points of view without an argument, just a conversation, because that person might pick this political party because of this reason, and it makes sense for them, but
Yeah.
they don't, it's not always black and white, and I think that's a problem too. People think no matter what, they have to choose a side. You don't. It
You don't
doesn't
have to choose a
matter,
side.
and it's not worth fighting over and getting mad about it kind of drives me crazy.
It does too. There's so many issues that are not black and white. They're very nuanced.
Yeah.
There's a lot of folks like even when you talk about like abortion, or you talk about Republican versus Democrat, or you talk about this and that, folks that they lose sight of what's important, the communication. And I love what you said there, the respect. It's like it's fine to have a debate or discussion, but it's not about winning, it's about understanding. I have friends that are different, have different opinions and different views of things. My dad is a very intelligent guy, but I think he watches a little too much of the Fox News, and sometimes he gets a perspective that may not always be in line with truth. But then what I love about my dad is like he'll often take something that I say, I actually saw this, and he'll reluctantly take it, but he'll step back and think about, hey, maybe I need to change my mind. But so many folks, you get locked into an identity, and they don't want to hear your side. They don't want to hear your perspective. And I think if we really focused on getting to know each other and why we think the way we think, it's one of two things are going to happen. You're either going to change your mind on something, or you might present some. You might, well, multiple things will happen. You're either going to change your mind on something or you're not, or you might change somebody else's mind or you might not. But I think if we communicate better as human beings, we'll find out. I think fundamentally we all want the same things pretty much. We want to be healthy, we want to be safe, we want to do what's right for society. It's just what those things aren't always, on the same page. And I think sometimes we become victims of being in our own echo chamber. Do you know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
And how do you feel like a lot of times people talk about mainstream media and slamming them. Like, I get a lot more out of listening to podcasts. Like, I'm a big Breaking Points fan. I don't always agree with them, but that's the Crystal and Sagar show. I like listening to them. Sometimes I'll side with Sagar on something, sometimes but what I like is that they have that respect. They don't always agree with each other, but they'll have that respect, and they move on. Like, they might even have a disagreement, but then they'll move on to the next segment and they're joking with each other again, as if they weren't upset. But like, it does seem like mainstream media is out more for the clicks and the hype. How do you feel that that's something that's changed, or is that something you feel like has been around for a long time?
That's a good question. I actually used to listen to Crystal and Sagar when they were on the Hill.
Yeah.
And I don't know where they went after that. I know they both left, and I wasn't really able to. So where did they go?
Breaking Points. This is huge, dude. Okay. And they left the Hill to start their own podcast.
Oh, okay.
It's called Breaking Points. In fact, I don't know if you remember Ryan Grimm and Emily Jasinski from the Hill. They eventually left the Hill and joined them.
Wow.
They do a once a week. They do a little thing called Counterpoints. But allow me to do a shameless plug because I really enjoy them.
I always enjoyed them both too. So I don't know why I never looked into it. I think I just kind of forgot.
Well, brace yourself, because Sagar had, and this was like the subscribers voted on this, but Sagar has grown a beard now.
Oh, wow.
And so he looks, I mean, he's still Sagar, but here, let me share this with you. I can only do a quick clip because I don't know if they'll get upset with me.
Here's the latest with the debt ceiling, because
they switched places.
Faster
oh yeah, they did. Yeah, he actually looks good with the beard.
I think so too.
I didn't. Yeah,
they do the same kind of things. They do they do their monologues, but they don't do like what's on your radar so much as they just do what are you looking at today. But they'll do their radars. It's basically the same format as they've been doing. But they're self-owned. They don't answer to anybody.
Oh, that's cool.
And and that was one of the challenges, is for the Hill kind of left them alone on Rising, but there were certain things they were starting to creep in. There were certain things they weren't allowed to kind of say. So they broke out on their own and started their own company. And it's taken out. It's like, I think it's like the second or third. It's in the top 5 podcasts now on Spotify.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
But check them out. I highly recommend. And again, it may not be your cup of tea all the time, but it's what I do like the perspectives. And I do like that they're willing to call out anybody.
Yeah.
Like Crystal's leans left, but she has no problem calling out the left on their stuff.
And I feel very similar, at least to what I've heard from on the Hill with her viewpoints. I kind of agree with her on a lot, because I'm not on, like, I feel like I'm like almost in the middle all the time.
Yeah.
When it's with a lot of things, so it's hard for me to agree on, because everyone's like, oh, if you're on the right, I can't, or like, you're a Democrat, you're you like socialism, and you're
Republican,
right,
you're a MAGA hat wearing,
yeah, and it's like we go back to what you just said. It's not just black and white. So I think I wish they would just abolish all parties and just you pick the best candidate. But
yeah,
that's never going to happen. But
well, I mean, and it's the reason they don't want you to even think about an independent a third party is because that's going to break their system.
That drives me nuts too, because I've
Mhm.
voted so many times third party
Yep.
because and like I look into like the viewpoints of the candidates, and like
Mhm.
I'll take tests on like what I believe, and it'll tell me who I should vote for on these criteria. I don't even you don't even know who's for what until at the end of the test.
Yeah.
And then you see the breakdown and you're like, wow, this guy, and a lot of people don't know, these candidates, what they're really for.
I think it's interesting too how people forget that elections are every year,
Yeah.
and like especially every 2 years there's usually a major congressional election, but we tend to focus only on the presidential election when in reality the folks that really probably need our attention
Yeah.
are these Congress people that have been in there for decades.
And just like, I can't even remember, I think, was it Lori who you had on last?
Yeah.
I think she had met, and it's what really affects you is your local.
Yes. Yes.
And like in your community, and who's in power there, and like and a lot of time people just go in and go red or blue right down the line,
Mhm.
and that's not always the best way to go. I mean, I always try. I'll go out and talk to the people that are running, or know, I try to make a very educated guess, because it's going to affect me. It's going to affect my child going to school. School board's huge. We're
Mm.
both, me and my wife. Well, she's more active than I am, but she goes to the board meetings, and she, because they're trying to ban books, and she's on the teachers love her. They'll email her and be like, Stacy, we need you at this board meeting, because she'll
That's
go in
awesome.
and just tell them like it is, and it's kind of ridiculous what's some of the stuff's going on. It makes me really sad.
Yeah. Catch new episodes of Mental Health Mondays every Monday morning at 7 a.m. Start your week off with a smile and some inspiration.